Every single football club in the world is on the political spectrum in some way or another, but why do some have stronger beliefs than others? These are the main two categories in which most football clubs fall into. Left wing. No, not Neymar or Cristiano Ronaldo. The left wing in this sense are often formed with socialist intentions by working class people with the idea that football is the average person's game and is open to everyone. On the other side of the spectrum, you have the right wing, often from wealthier backgrounds coming from a pre-existing position of power. For the purposes of this video, I have remained neutral, but many people will find it hard to look past some of the actions taken by one side in particular. Often cities will have a left-leaning club and a right-leaning club, but this city in particular is different. On one hand, you have a team nicknamed the People's Club, meanwhile the other club in the city is also very left, meaning while the clubs themselves may not take a very liberal approach to things, the fans definitely do, and this comes from the history of the city, Liverpool. A city that was given a lot of importance in the world due to the docklands it was built upon. The docklands provided a place for people out of work to go and get work, but they were moving on the promise of work and often didn't have much to begin with, meaning a lot of people of similar backgrounds ended up in the same place or area, thus creating an identity of left-leaning politics within the city. But not every city with a dock falls under the same bracket, and this creates problems in some parts of the world. But more on them later. If you go further north to Scotland, you have an entire footballing culture founded on politics, and in that, a club with very left-leaning views. Celtic. In Scotland, football is an important forum where issues of ethnic, religious and political identity are all played out. And Celtic are an important club, being an expression of Irish immigrants' identities, political support for Irish republicanism and anti-imperialist struggles and left-wing politics. Speaking of anti-imperialist struggles, Barcelona Football Club. Similarly to Celtic, Barcelona are a club that has an identity different to the country of its location, with players and people born in this area labelling themselves as Catalan rather than Spanish. And they often speak about how they are different to Spain. Pep Guardiola, a proud Catalan, even spoke about this, demonstrating his views on Catalan independence away from Spain. But most of the time, right-wing clubs are completely against any, if not all, of these behaviours. Let's take Real Madrid for example. Real Madrid is often associated with right-wing politics due to its historical connection to the Franco regime in Spain, a dictator who ruled Spain. And this was a symbol of a centralised Spanish power and traditional values, particularly during the club's president Santiago Bernabeu's close ties to the regime. That's right, the guy they named the stadium after. This perception is further amplified by the club's rivalry with Barcelona, which is often seen as representing Catalan nationalism in contrast to Madrid's concisely Spanish identity. But Real Madrid's actions don't even come close to some of the actions by some of the clubs on this list. And that's where we head to next. Zenit St. Petersburg. "We are not racist" was the line used by Zenit fans in 2012. While sounding at the time like something a racist would likely say, well, it turned out that this was the case. In the same year, Zenit fans called for black or gay players to be excluded from their team, adding that gay players were, and I quote, "unworthy of our city," making them one of the most far-right clubs in the world due to these beliefs. Millwall. This club in the UK have made their political actions abundantly clear over the years, with one action in recent times being booing players taking the knee when showing their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. Millwall, a club who were founded in an industrial part of London and formed actually on the docks, have very direct political views. But one city in particular was formed on the docks, and it actually has two teams with completely opposing views. Hamburg, one of the biggest cities in Germany, has two of the most diametrically opposed football teams when it comes to politics. There are so many levels as to why these two hate each other. Political ideology being one of them. The rivalry has been described as a clash of political ideology, with St. Pauli fans being more left-wing and Hamburg fans being associated with extremist groups in the 1980s. Again, social class. St. Pauli is based in a working class neighbourhood in the city centre. Meanwhile, Hamburg is in the suburbs and is considered a more upper class area. Cultural differences. The rivalry reflects the cultural differences between the two neighbourhoods of Hamburg. This right-wing club in particular we need to speak about. This team play in one of Europe's top 5 leagues and are consistently in UEFA competitions, yet are one of the most fascist teams in world football, idolising fascist dictators, making racist chants and generally abrasive behaviour. They have an ultras group nicknamed the SS. Whilst everyone who is associated with the club doesn't necessarily hold these beliefs, the majority of the vocal fans do, even making right arm salutes from the stands. Lazio. One country I didn't speak about was Serbia. If you want to see how the Yugoslavian civil war changed the entire course of one player's career, click here.